Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I am bringing you my August TBR, which focuses on Jewish and Muslim heritage. If you aren't familiar, each month I choose something to prioritize. I do have a playlist, so I will link that below. And what I do is I just choose some sort of theme or topic, and I pick about 10 books that I want to read on that topic and do my best to just focus on that and try to see what kind of themes emerge and what I can learn about that priority. So this month I have chosen to do Jewish and Muslim heritage. It is not in particular that August has anything to do with either of these, more that I thought these were interesting themes, and there was no other month I could really find that super called to me for focusing on those. So what I've done is I have put together a list of 10 books, and because religion is something that's not always the easiest to find out about an author or even about the characters in a book, I've done my best, but I might not be quite exactly right on all of the details of these. So if I'm not, you can let me know in the comments below, but I have at least done my best effort to try to identify the authors or identify the characters or the themes that are addressed in these books. First, I'll talk about the 4 books on my TBR that have to do with Jewish characters or Jewish heritage or Jewish authors. The first of these is The Fated Sky by Mary Robinette Kowal. This is a sci-fi series, and this book is the second in that series, the first being The Calculating Stars. The main character of this novel is Alma, and Alma is Jewish, and she is also incredibly smart. She's a genius, and she becomes basically a lady astronaut in an alternate history version of the US, the world, where an asteroid hits and causes really severe ecological changes that necessitate Earth speeding up its development of the space program back in the 50s so that they can get off Earth. And so Alma is heavily involved in this, and there's a lot of sort of bias and prejudice that she faces because she's a woman, because she has anxiety, and because she's Jewish. Next on my list is Night by Elie Wiesel. This is a classic but very heavy story of Elie, who went through the concentration camps during World War II, during the Holocaust. So I have heard of this book and I have very much wanted to read it. I think that it will be an intense read. I think in it, Elie questions a lot of God, the universe, everything like that. But it sounds like it's also just a very moving and powerful book and a really important experience to read about. Next on my list is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, and this is a nonfiction book that looks at sort of the history of humanity. I have heard about this, and I really enjoy both microhistories and sort of grand epic histories of humanity. So I'm very interested in this book. Also, it's neat. It was written in Hebrew and then later translated into English, so that's a fun thing to read. The last of the Jewish heritage books on my list is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This is a book about a teenage boy who is gay, who has sort of like a love affair online with another boy, and is in danger of being outed against his will. So although I don't think that Judaism plays a huge role in this book, the author did grow up Jewish, and the love interest in the story is Jewish Episcopalian. So I thought it might be interesting to kind of see how kind of queer issues interact with Judaism in this novel. Now on to the Muslim heritage section of my TBR. First on this list is I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai and Christina Lamb. So this is a very famous book. It is about Malala, who was a teenage girl in Pakistan who stood up for her right to access education against the Taliban, and she was shot in the head, but she survived and became a big public speaker. She is, I think, the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. It's like really moving. I'm already moved. So I definitely want to read this book. It's been on my radar for quite a while. Next on my list is Frankenstein in Baghdad by Ahmed Saadawi. This is sort of a speculative fiction / political literary book. I'm not really sure what genre to categorize it as, but it seems like it will be really fascinating to read. It's about somebody who in Baghdad puts together a Frankenstein type person out of body parts of people who were killed in bombs in in the city. And that is just a strong political statement, as well as kind of, you know, a creepy and cool SF story. So I thought this would be fun to read. Next on my list is If They Come For Us by Fatima Asghar. This is a collection of poetry by Asghar, which focuses, I think, on just identity, on being a woman, on being Muslim, on being, I believe she's like a Pakistani immigrant to the US. And I just thought it would be fun to read some poetry that talks about that experience, since poetry does such a great job of, I think, conveying the emotional aspects of somebody's identity and their experience going through a lot of things. So this, I thought, would balance out some of the nonfiction and some of the more speculative fiction. Next is A Place for Us by Fatima, Farheen, Mirza. This is a family saga, so sort of like a literary fiction novel about a Muslim immigrant family to the US. So sort of similar in kind of experience to the previous one, but this is a family saga. So I thought this would be another interesting book to read, and I've heard a number of people talk about this and how they like it, so I'm interested to pick it up. Lastly, I have 2 books on my list, which were highly recommended by Saajid at Books Are My Social Life, who I will link below. And Saajid is Indo-Caribbean, and he has done quite a few videos talking about Muslim authors and books. In particular, he just did a really neat collaboration video, which I will link below, where he had a bunch of different Muslim booktubers talk about their favorite Muslim books, which was just absolutely fantastic. And if anybody else is part of some sort of kind of specific minority group or culture or something, and you put together any sort of collaboration video, or you know of anybody who's put together a collaboration video that showcases the booktubers who are in that group, and you know, some of the books that they love, please let me know, because I thought this was just such a fantastic idea and I want to go check out so many of those booktubers. In any case, the 2 books that are on my list for this month that Saajid has talked about so many times on his channel are A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi, which is like a YA contemporary romance about a high schooler who is Muslim, and it's right after 9/11, and she is struggling with the way that things have gone down and the way that her community is treating her, and she falls in love with kind of an all-American boy, and so there's a lot of conflict there in terms of the way that the people around her are treating her. So that's the first. The second book that he has recommended that's on my list is The Love and Lies of Roxana Ali, which is about a queer teenager who is accidentally outed to her family, and they take her back to Bangladesh to be kind of with her relatives and, you know, maybe get her away from some of the temptations. So this is another book that Saajid has said is really good, and I'm trying to do lots more intersectional reading when I can. So I love that this is about sort of that immigrant experience. It's about being queer, it's about being Muslim, it's about all of these things together. So I'm very interested in that, although the wait list at the library for this is ridiculously long, so we'll see if I get it in time. Okay, so those are all of the books that I would like to prioritize for August, focusing on Jewish and Muslim heritage. Like every month, I don't necessarily plan to read all 10 of these. I'll just sort of prioritize these and pick and choose as I feel interested or as they come in through the library, and read what I can. If you guys know of any Jewish or Muslim booktubers that you enjoy, especially if they're into SFF, please leave some information about that below. I am trying to expand who I watch. I've tried to go out and get a little bit of a kind of diverseness in what I watch, but I always am looking for more recommendations. And if you are reading any sort of Jewish or Muslim books, or you have any favorites, please leave that below. I would love to hear about it. Again, I'm always looking to diversify my reading.